Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are really immersing ourselves in, well, a landmark message. Warren Buffett's letter from November 10th, 2025.
Absolutely. This isn't just another shareholder communication. It feels like a blueprint, a transition document, really, and it's wrapped in some incredibly candid personal reflections.
Right, so our mission here for this deep dive is to pull out those key financial announcements, the big leadership news, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but also, maybe more uniquely, get into his thoughts on luck, geography, which is fascinating, and some pretty tough lessons learned over, well, 95 years.
Yeah, the wisdom bits are quite something.
Okay, so let's start with the headline nugget, the one that really signals, the end of an era.
He's going quiet. That's the phrase he uses.
Yeah. After decades writing that famous annual report, holding court at the annual meeting for hours, he's stepping back.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it? He did say he'll keep doing the Thanksgiving message, but yeah, the main engine of his public communication is powering down.
And you can't separate that from the other big piece of news. Greg Gable. It's official. He's the boss at year-end.
Confirmed. Unequivocal. The transition they've planned for so long is, well, it's here, it's happening. Fully operational, as you said.
Okay, let's unpack the immediate financial side of this. Because tied into this transition is some massive philanthropic action. Like right now.
Executed immediately, yeah. Not just planned. We saw him convert 1,800 of the A shares, the big ones, into 2.7 million B shares.
Oh, the scale is just huge. And where did they go?
Straight to the family foundations. The biggest chunk, 1.5 million shares, went to the Susan Thompson Buffett Foundation.
Okay.
And then 400,000 shares each to the other three. Sherwood Foundation, Howard G. Buffett Foundation, and the Novo Foundation.
The really significant immediate transfer of wealth and, I guess, control over that wealth.
Exactly. It's a major acceleration of his lifetime giving plan. And the reasoning he gives is intensely practical, almost tactical, you would say.
How so?
Well, his kids, they're now 72, 70, 67. He basically says they're at their absolute peak right now in terms of experience, wisdom, energy for running these foundations effectively.
So it's about when they take full control. He wants them doing it now while they're in their prime rather than waiting. He mentioned something about avoiding alternate trustees.
Precisely. He wants them overseeing the bulk of this distribution before, as he puts it, alternate trustees replace them. It's about maximizing their impact during their peak years.
And he has that line about reeling from the grave.
Yeah. Does not have a great record. He wants none of that. Give them the reins now, let them be flexible, react to tax laws, world events, whatever comes up. He's clearly placing immense trust in their judgment.
Speaking of trust and judgment, that brings us back to Greg Gable. The letter heaps praise on him, but what specifically makes Buffett so confident, especially given Berkshire's complexity? It's not just an investment firm, right?
No, it's this unique blend of operations and investments. Buffett calls Abel a great manager, a tireless worker, and an honest communicator. Standard praise, maybe, but then he gets specific.
Okay.
He says Abel understands the businesses and the personnel better than Buffett himself does now. And crucially, he highlights Abel's grasp of the PC insurance business, property and casualty.
Right, the insurance side. Why is that so critical for the Berkshire CEO? For those of us maybe not deep in insurance.
Because PC insurance is the absolute engine for Berkshire's investment machine. It generates the float.
Okay, the float. That's the premium money collected up front.
Exactly. Money collected before claims are paid. Berkshire gets to invest that money, sometimes for decades, basically using cost-free capital. Abel understanding the huge potential and the dangers of that business. Well, Buffett sees that as vital for stability going forward.
So Abel's deep understanding there is key to keeping the whole model running smoothly for, well, potentially a very long time.
Buffett even estimates they might only need 5 or 6 CEOs over the next 100 years. That tells you the kind of longevity and stability he expects Abel to maintain.
That really frames the importance of this transition.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit, away from the C-suite and into something more personal that Buffett spent quite a bit of time on in this letter, Omaha.
Yeah, the geography piece. It's surprising, almost charmingly so. He really reflects on the power of place and connection. It makes you ask his question, is there some magic ingredient in Omaha's water?
It sounds almost folksy, but reading it, you realize he's making a serious point about networks, right? The power of proximity and trust.
Totally. He lays out these incredible examples of how tight-knit that Omaha circle was, how it fostered everything, personal life, business success.
Let's start with the obvious one. Charlie Munger, best pal, 64 years. We know the partnership, but the geography.
It's wild. Munger, who was almost 7 years older, lived literally 1 block away from the house Buffett bought in 1958 and still lives in.
1 block.
And get this, back in 1940, Munger actually worked at Buffett's grandfather's grocery store, earned $2 for a 10-hour day.
Wow.
But despite living so close, working for the family, they didn't actually meet until 1959. Shows how partnerships can just spring from, accidental closeness sometimes.
And it wasn't just Munger. Don Keough, who became president of Coca-Cola.
Lived directly across the street. In 1959, Keough was starting out, coffee salesman, making $12,000 a year, raising 5 kids, just right there.
And Keough provides that famous corporate story about.
Oh, the new Coke disaster. Yeah, 1985. Buffett recounts how mail started arriving addressed simply to Supreme Idiot Coca-Cola, and the mailroom delivered it straight to Keough's desk.
Oh, what did Keough do?
Showed real leadership, according to Buffett. He cheerfully owned the mistake, brought back classic Coke, basically said, hey, this brand belongs to the public, not us. It shows that kind of accountability that seemed common in their little Omaha world.
Then there's Stan Lipsey, grew up 5 blocks away.
Right. Sold his Omaha Sun newspapers to Berkshire in '68. Then, maybe a decade later, Buffett sends him off to Buffalo to fix the Buffalo Evening News.
And this wasn't just a favor to a friend. This is a huge deal for Berkshire financially, wasn't it?
Monumental. The paper was bleeding cash. Lipsey turns it around, develops the Sunday edition, and by the early 80s, that paper is earning over 100% a year pre-tax on the original $33 million investment.
Incredible returns.
Especially for Berkshire back then, those were game-changing numbers, all stemming from a trusted local connection.
And the high school thread is just amazing, too. Benson High School.
Unbelievable, right? Walter Scott, Jr., key to bringing Mid-American energy into Berkshire, went there. So did Buffett's dad, his first wife, Susie, Munger, Lipsey, key people from Nebraska Furniture Mart.
It's like half of Berkshire's origin story walked the same hallways.
Pretty much. Buffett sums it up by saying he genuinely believes they performed better being based in Omaha than anywhere else. The center of the United States was a very good place to be born, to raise a family, and to build a business. It's a powerful testament to, deep roots.
That focus on roots, place, family, it leads naturally into the next big themes in the letter.
Yeah.
Luck, longevity, and some pretty stern lessons on corporate governance. He's 95 now.
Which he says surprises him. Notes his family's longevity record was 92 until he blew past it.
But he connects that personal luck, just avoiding accidents, daily hazards, to a much bigger idea about luck at birth.
Yeah, he gets really philosophical here, calls the circumstances of birth wildly unfair.
He's very direct about it. Born 1930, healthy, reasonably smart, white, male in America. He explicitly says his sisters, just as smart, better personalities even, faced a much different outlook, purely because of their gender back then.
It's a striking bit of self-awareness about privilege, and you can see how that understanding fuels his massive philanthropic commitment later on. It's like acknowledging an unearned head start.
Definitely. And just to lighten the mood, or maybe just to be himself, he throws in that weird childhood story.
Oh, the appendix. 1938, near-death appendectomy. And what's he doing? He's fingerprinting the nuns at the hospital.
Fingerprinting the nuns. Why?
Apparently, he had this nutty theory about catching a rogue nun for J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. It's bizarre, but it kind of shows that deep-seated curiosity, the investigative instinct was there right from the start, even aged 8.
Huh. Okay, so curiosity is good, but it didn't stop him and Munger from making some serious mistakes, which he also gets into. 2 really sharp lessons about corporate life.
Yeah, these are maybe the most practical takeaways for anyone in business. First, the whole CEO pay disclosure thing. Remember when they mandated disclosing the ratio of CEO pay to the average worker?
Right, the idea was it would shame companies into paying CEOs less, create moderation.
It did the exact opposite. Total backfire.
It caused inflation, not moderation.
Oh, yeah. Because it didn't create shame, it created envy. CEOs didn't look down at the average worker's pay. They looked sideways and up at their highest paid peers.
Ah.
So compensation consultants, whose job is basically to keep the CEO happy, would just point to the top peer and say, well, we need to match or beat that to retain talent. Disclosure became a ratchet, pushing salaries up, not down. A classic case of unintended consequences in policy.
That's a really damning critique of how that played out. But the second governance failure he talks about feels much more human. And maybe harder to deal with.
Much harder. It's about cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's. Buffett is blunt. He says both he and Charlie Munger failed several times, calls it a huge mistake to act quickly enough when really wonderful, loyal CEOs running subsidiaries started to succumb to these diseases.
He puts it down to loyalty, delaying the tough decision. But that loyalty ended up hurting the business. How does a board even approach that? It must be incredibly difficult with someone you've worked with for years.
It is incredibly difficult. He acknowledges that. The decline is often gradual, inconsistent. The person themselves is often the last to see it. Colleagues hate to speak up.
So what's the takeaway? The lesson.
His advice is stark. The board and the CEO must be relentlessly alert to this possibility. At the parent company, in the subsidiaries, recognizing it, addressing it, even when it's painful, that's a fundamental fiduciary duty. Failing to act, however kind the intention feels, is actually a failure of governance. It's a really tough but valuable lesson.
Wow. Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, Buffett brings it all back home, doesn't he?
Right.
Tying the luck, the success, the failures back to basic personal conduct.
Yeah, he says he's more satisfied with the second half of his life than the first, which is interesting. And the message is one of self-forgiveness and growth, basically. Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes.
Learn from them, move on. It is never too late to improve. That's a powerful message at 95.
It really is. And he hammers home the golden rule, stressing that kindness is, quote, costless, but also priceless. He argues the real goal isn't the money or the fame, it's helping others. That's the ultimate yardstick.
And reputation above all. He tells that story, maybe apocryphal, about Alfred Nobel.
Right, reading his own obituary by mistake, seeing himself described only as the inventor of dynamite, the merchant of death, and deciding right then to change his legacy, leading to the Nobel Prizes.
So Buffett's advice, building on that, is don't wait for a mistaken obituary. Instead.
Decide what you would like your obituary to say and live the life to deserve it.
Which brings us perfectly to our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. Buffett specifically points out role models. He says, get the right heroes and copy them. You can start with Tom Murphy. He was the best.
So if you take that challenge to think about your obituary, the legacy you want, the next question is, who are your right heroes? Who embodies the character and actions you admire, like Buffett admired Tom Murphy?
And maybe even more importantly, how do you actually translate copying those heroes into your own practical daily behavior? That feels like the real lasting investment this historic letter is asking all of us to consider.
A huge amount of wisdom there, packed into what feels like a farewell message from an absolute icon.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into a truly pivotal moment in business and philanthropy.